I can't see you, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is Wreckers or Checkers. How you doing, Mr. Coors Lightyear?
Not bad.
I can see
Not
you now,
bad.
though.
I can see you now, though.
Sorry about that.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in.
Hey,
Uh,
F it, we're doing it live.
that's right.
That's the type of energy we're bringing to the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right? How you doing, dude?
Sometimes you just got to send it.
I know. With the
I'm
week
not
we've
bad,
had,
bro.
whew, just send it. We're getting
Yeah.
in.
It's been a long one. I'm back on the long days. And after having normal people work weeks, going back to long hours has really sucked.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Especially the type of long hours you put in, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. I wouldn't want to do it, and I hope I never do. But
Aiming
anyway,
not to.
anyway, Wreckers and Checkers. We're looking ahead to a little Michigan Super Speedway. Gonna be interesting this week. Also, we got some drama to cover, right? A little bit of news,
Yeah, buddy.
and obviously we're gonna recap Nashville. Pretty good race. Pretty good race.
Yeah, it was a solid race as far as I'm concerned. It was
Yeah.
better than it usually is.
Yeah, they tend to get a little lined out there, but it wasn't too bad. Had some
No.
corner stretches, but should we get into old Wreckers and Checkers for last week?
Yeah, let's get into it, buddy.
All right, let's go to the Wrecker. There was a few different wrecks here, but I feel like this one piqued my interest the most. I'll say
It
that.
was it was definitely the most notable all week long, I
Yeah,
mean,
the most
everything
drama unfolding
NASCAR's
from this one.
yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you this.
which
I'm really starting to like Kosovar, honestly.
yeah, I mean,
I
I agree. People are bitching about how he's driving, and it's kind of like, those are the same people that say, NASCAR died with Dale. But
Right, and those are
this
probably
is
the same people who would have been bitching about the way Dale was driving when he came up. Right?
exactly,
Like,
like Hocevar will move you. Like either
yeah.
get
Sound
out
like
of the way
they
or
sound
get
like a bunch
going.
of Wall Trip fans who were
Right?
worried about Dale.
Definitely.
Not
Something.
comparing the two.
No.
Not comparing the two. But I
But
do like Kosovar. This one was, I don't know, it didn't look that egregious to me. I think he got a little loose, slipped up a little bit, got into Stenhouse.
eh,
It didn't look that egregious to me, honestly. But
no, but I do feel like Hocevar did put the bumper to him when he didn't need to, and
yeah,
it's so was he
hey,
coming in a little hot? Maybe.
yes. If Wreckin' Ricky knows anything, it's how to get back at somebody.
Definitely.
And
And
Hocevar is going to be seeing some wall or some grass or something, thanks to Mister 47 here by the end of the season, guaranteed.
definitely by the end of the year, Reckon Ricky is going to spin him some way, shape, or form.
I'm forward
Guaranteed.
to. I'm forward to. I
Oh,
just
oh,
hope it
me too.
doesn't ruin like a really good race for him.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see though. All right, we'll get into the checker. Nothing crazy here. I didn't feel like there was any super amazing moves done by anybody to take it away from the guy who actually won the race. But what I will say is these guys had, I think it was a 10.2 or a 10.4 second stop on the money stop. Got back out there. They came in, I believe, a little earlier than most. I think they still had 68, 60, 67 to go. Uh, you know, just ran a hell of an end of the race, honestly.
True that. I mean, honestly, the real money stop for Blaney was probably when he took two tires. He had a two-tire pit stop, the pit
Yeah,
stop before the
the
money
one
stop,
before. Yeah,
and that's where he jumped up in the field and kind of got to play up there in the front of the pack,
that's
right?
true. Yeah,
And he figured out that he could hold on with just two good ones and a couple of used, right?
yep.
So,
That's when he
and
jumped up there with Logano and Hamlin and who else was Byron.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and had the car to compete still with two versus four.
yeah. No,
So
and he made, honestly, stage two. He made a hell of a move. I believe it was in stage two where he passed basically Hamlin and Byron at the same time. I think Byron
Yeah.
was going to pass Hamlin, and then Blaney came past both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
That was a
Taking
nice
them
move.
both.
Yep, that was good. All right, let's get into the full recap. Congrats to Mr. Blaney though and his fans. It's good to see him get one. Honestly, I I don't hate the guy. I like him.
No, he was due.
Yeah, and it honestly, like the longer we go into the season, where those guys that you know are going to get a win don't have a win yet, like it gets a little antsy, a little dicey out there. Like he's going to
Definitely.
point in anyway, probably. Like he'll have the points to get in either way, but it is good to see these guys get their wins, and a hell of a
Right.
guitar too. Love that trophy.
Definitely. Another thing is nice because then you get to see guys like Blaney and the guys that have already won take those risks they wouldn't normally take just to see if it works, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
I'm
they
gonna
get to
come in
put.
early. I'm gonna hang out late. Like,
Yep. Like we talked about last week or the week before, where it's like, if you have that win, you can play that fuel window a little differently, right? Like, screw it,
definitely,
I'm going to stay out, see if we can get another one. Or maybe I'll just come in and get the points. Who knows? Yeah.
very much so.
It definitely shakes up a whole team's strategy, I feel like, if they have that win under their belt. Something the 19's looking for.
Yep, yep, suck it.
Hey, was that the top 20 streak continues though?
It does. It continues. It,
uh,
it's it's kind of like being a Mariners fan over here.
oh
We
yeah,
do just good enough.
yeah. And then September comes around.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, so what sticks out to you about the top 10?
Hocevar, man, top two, second place. It's awesome. I love it. Had a good race. I just feel like he's just running strong. Like the whole team's doing well. Excuse me. Woo. Whole team's doing well. Uh, Other than that, not a whole lot of shake up here to me. This is kind of the usual
No.
suspects.
Two things stick out to me.
Yeah.
One is the fact that Kyle Larson battled his way back to the top 10 after the rough day he had last Sunday.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
rough start to
he,
this race, honestly.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was dead to rights in the beginning of this race.
Right.
Like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I figured he was done for the day, and then he came back out, and I was like, oh great, he's gonna be the wreck. I think he was involved with another caution later on, and then still somehow managed to pull off a top 10.
Yeah.
That is number one. Number two, congratulations to Team Penske because they're the first full team, including satellite team, sealed into the playoffs.
Nice.
We got Josh Berry, we've got Austin Cindric, we've got Joey Logano, and we have Mr. Ryan Blaney.
That's right.
So
I
first full
forgot.
team and satellite.
I forgot Cindric had
Yeah,
that
Talladega.
win too. Yeah. Dang.
So first full team of the year to finally make it in and seal their fate per se. Granted, unless we somehow have 17 winners, and then it could get interesting, but that never happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But
likelihood of that's pretty slim, but
I
getting better
I
and better. I think every year.
definitely I do agree with you though that the host of our running second, that's pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. I just think that it's not just this race. Like I feel like the momentum is building for that team. Not even just Hocevar, but Spire in general.
Right.
The
Oh,
momentum's building. He's gonna get a win, dude. I think he's gonna get a win this year. And
Hocevar's a wheelman.
Yeah.
He's a wheelman, dude. There's no doubt that he can spin that damn thing.
Yep. I love it. Well, should we maybe look ahead, or you got anything else to cover here while we're on Nashville?
No, I think that's about a wrap for me for Nashville. Like I said, I'm disappointed in the 9 because we kept our top 20 streak going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chastain did not have a great race either. He battled up there in top 10 a few times, but always seemed to slip back. So
I was expecting more out of Trackhouse this last weekend.
So was I. Maybe that's more of the story is who wasn't in the top 10 this week.
Very much could be.
Yeah, but I feel like week to week, these cars or these tracks and the cars and the teams, everything changes so much week to week. It's hard to be consistent in this league.
Definitely. It is. I mean, it's a crapshoot every weekend. I mean, we say tracks like Talladega and Daytona are crapshoots. Every weekend's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
All these guys are talented. They all have hot rods. Like, yeah, is some guys' equipment a little better than others? Sure, but they're still all professional race car drivers.
yep,
You know, I mean,
yeah. There's very very small percentage differences amongst all these guys, really.
definitely.
All right, we'll pull up the odds preview page here, but I think you got a little bit of Michigan history for us.
Yeah, let's look into the Michigan International Speedway a little bit. We've got a 2 mile super speedway, D-shaped oval. Capacity is 56,000. Lap record, got another Kyle Larson that not winning it this week. So we're like 3 weeks straight of no Kyle Larson, so we're winning there.
Not bad.
Kevin Harvick with
Ah,
in 2018 took this lap record, which speaks volumes because Harvick dominated this racetrack.
yeah.
He is tied for the most wins here in a Cup car with 5. Him and David Pearson's. Active drivers, we've got Larson and Logano with 3. No one has that many besides them. Um, a little info, as a lot of us know, is this is a Ford racetrack, or at least it's looked upon it as. Um, Fords have won 6 out of the last 7 races here, 13 out of the last 25.
Dang.
So over half the time a Ford's winning. You know, um, the banking here, we're
So
at
wait,
18 to
hold on a
8.
second then. So they had 6 straight then, that means, right? Because last year was
Yes,
Reddick.
exactly. They
Wow.
won 6 straight.
6 straight, damn. All right.
Yeah, brutal.
Sorry to interrupt.
Uh, oh, no worries. The banking here, we've got 18 degrees in the turns, we've got 12 degrees in the front stretch, and 5 degrees in the back stretch. And then a little touch upon in the history aspect. In 1960, Lawrence LePatin, who was a up and comer in the racing folks of that era, ordered the construction on the Michigan International Speedway, and he was going to use it to like invest his recreational holdings, right?
Hmm.
Basically, so they broke ground in 1967 and opened in 1968. Um, they operated well for a few years, and then as a lot of the racetracks did in that time, they kind of fell into a financial debacle, right?
Yeah.
Some turmoil, and lo and behold, in 1973, um, I feel like we've talked about this in a couple of different tracks, but this is the first one that he saved. Roger Penske bought this track in 1973 and turned it
Mm.
around. Um, Roger Penske is probably a crown jewel in NASCAR in itself. I mean, it's hard to when reading up on this history that I've been reading on. It seems like he's got his ties in every little crevice of it. So,
Yeah.
um, he ended up running the racetrack and everything. He ended up selling it to the France family, who is the owners of NASCAR. In the what is the International Speedway Corporation,
Hmm.
I think is their business. In the early 2000s, um, and to where we get to where we're at today. But Roger Penske is the reason we still get to watch races in Michigan, which I find is very fascinating.
Probably the
Um,
reason we get to watch Fords win it 6 years in a row too.
yeah, that's possible.
Kid.
I
Pe-
couldn't bet against it.
Penske used to be Dodge, right? Like back in the day, weren't they?
I don't know for certain.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that. But I
But
do know
for the last 7 years,
I do
they've
know
for sure been Ford.
they cheat in Indy, so they probably cheat in NASCAR.
Yeah, probably.
uh, I'm sorry.
uh, it's a soft spot, all right.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a soft spot right now.
too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. Cheers, Penske. Well, that brings us to some betting, maybe.
Yeah.
My favorite time of the day. Throwing a little cash down on NASCAR. Hey, full disclosure, I did terrible last week.
Fair.
Mr. Elliott, my lock to finish top 3 or top 5, whatever it was, god awful. Thanks a lot, Chase. However, we did talk about liking Hocevar a lot. We did talk about liking a couple guys that did well. I believe even Blaney. So, as a reminder, not financial advice. However, we do look into these things a little bit. We do try and provide a little bit of, background information, a little bit of stats on the back end, and then a little bit of your gut feeling. I like to throw a few things out there. If anything resonates with you guys, slap some money on it, have fun. We're not trying to get rich here. We're just trying to have a little fun on the NASCAR betting. So, with that being said, I think my lock of the week this week, and when I say lock of the week, I mean this is guaranteed money. You might as well liquidate your bank account, take out a second mortgage.
Yeah. Put it all on the line.
Put it down on Brad Keselowski for a top 5 finish at plus 350. What do you think about that, Danny?
Not mad about it.
Not mad. Okay. Keselowski's had 27 races here in Michigan. He's got 9 top 5s.
It's his home track. He's from Michigan.
As Danny said earlier, 6 out of 7 of the last 7 races were Fords. Keselowski has not won here out of 27 races, which I don't love.
Yeah.
I don't love that. However, I feel like he's been doing pretty decent the last couple weeks, pushing up there. The team trend looks a little on the upward trajectory, in my opinion. And then the last 2 years here, he finished 4th and 5th. So he's been up there the last couple of years. Team trajectory is looking good. Lock it in. Brad Keselowski plus 350 for a top 5 finish.
Not mad about it.
What do you think? You got any locks? You got anything you feel
A
good about?
lock?
Not even necessarily lock, just something you feel good about.
I feel good about a Chris Buescher top 3 for plus 650.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think nowadays Chris Buescher is the top dog at RFK, and if I was going to bet on one of them, he's the guy I'm going to bet on.
Okay.
Out of the RFK camp.
Yeah.
But as far as like, and that I probably like that bet just about as much as I like any other bet. I feel like any Penske driver, Joey, Blaney, Cindric, I feel like any one of those guys could win this. Joey and Blaney being the top 2 out of those 2 for sure. I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys running up towards the front and competing for the win this week. And if you're feeling froggy, I mean, plus 700 on Blaney on the win, and I think Joey's plus 1400 pre-qualifying. So I would bet some Joey for the win at Michigan at plus 1400 odds. If it's 5, 10, 20, whatever. So I feel like that's a solid bet.
Couple others that I like. Full agreements with you on Logano plus 1400. That's great pre-qualifying because especially he's one of those guys that I feel like at this track could go out there and qualify freaking amazing, and he's going to be plus 600 or plus 700 after qualifying.
Exactly.
Right? So you never know, but he's one you could catch jumping. Catch him before he jumps up there. I like Hocevar at plus 1,800, just because I feel like the momentum's there. I feel like that team's coming together, and he's a wheelman. We talked about this. I like having a little fun with a guy like that.
Definitely.
And then if we're gonna get real spicy down there, I do like Austin Cindric, Penske driver as well, plus 4,000. Just because of the odds. Not
right.
I at plus 4,000. That's great. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's some betting odds right there.
Yeah, I mean, throw $10 on there, you hit it, $400. Easy.
Winning.
Easy money. Your boy Chase Elliott though at plus 1,200 and Ross at plus 14. We're just kind of sitting there mid range.
We're a couple of I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking like this weekend. They're pretty much figuring we're going to finish in the middle of the pack.
Yeah. Hey, I bet you're top 20.
Hey, got that going for us. Say it again.
Google. So, wait, what about Josh Berry at plus 3,500? Just kind of noticed that.
Yeah, that's
speaking of Penske satellite teams,
right?
I don't know. There's a lot of those guys like that too, though. That plus 400 for a top 5 for him. I kind of like. So kind of along with Keselowski, but same with Buescher. You called out for 650 for a top 3, but even going plus 275 for a top 5.
Right. I would either. Definitely bet the 275. I'd bet that every day at Michigan.
But yeah. Well, you got anything else for some odds talk, or should we move on to the weekly news?
I think I'm good because, like I said, I'm not real sure on it being a Ford track, and I feel like I might lead some folks the wrong direction because I look at some of these other guys and it's like, yeah, William Byron at plus 800, that seems solid, but it's a Ford track.
Yeah, but Reddick won it last year. I mean,
right?
You never know. Maybe the Ford track thing has ended.
Maybe, but it seems like that's kind of how it goes here. Like it's kind of like Homestead that we figured out. It was like Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, and then a Chevy won it. A little bit of superstition going on.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
We gotta roll with the Fords this week.
I like it. All right, let's get into the news.
All right. Welcome back, Dodge.
Yeah, no shit on. Ooh, to the Craftsman so far.
Yes, 2026. We've all probably kind of heard about it, but this is the first look you get at the new Craftsman Dodge Ram that is coming out next year. Don't know what teams it's going to be on, this, that, or the other, but it looks fly. Beautiful to see Dodge back in the programs. I'm glad it wasn't Honda or Kia, or it was a muscle car brand as it should be. Hell Welcome back, Dodge.
Mopar strong, baby. So
that's right.
It'll be interesting to see how many teams they get in the Craftsman Series, and then B, how long does it take them to get back to the Cup Series? Those are two things I want to know. We'll see what next year brings, but either way, this is awesome.
Rumor has it is they're shooting for trucks this year, Cups the year after. So 26 for trucks, 27 for Cup.
Nice. Hell yeah.
That's the rumor, but we'll see if it actually plays out.
Well, kind of poking into our other news item here. Maybe there'll be some more open charters coming soon.
Yeah, definitely. For those that haven't heard, so we talked about it a while back. 2311 is in and Front Row Racing is in an antitrust lawsuit with NASCAR. This week, a U.S. Court of Appeals overturned the ruling in favor of NASCAR. So what this does is it makes under the previous ruling, it basically is business as usual for 2311. Now it is not. As of what is it, June 26th, I think is the date. They will no longer be considered a charter of NASCAR, which means that in the grand scheme of things, they they will have to appeal in the next 14 days from whenever this date was this last week, and have to file an appeal to order to keep their charters. Um,
And I'm assuming they
that,
will. I'm assuming appeals are
Definitely,
coming. They're going to fight this out. But
definitely. The downfall here is the ramifications of this if say it doesn't work out. So as of the 26th, if they're no longer chartered teams, that means in say 40 cars show up to race and they only allow 38, that means they have to race their way in. So every
yeah,
year at the Daytona 500, we see a couple of cars out there qualifying that don't race.
yeah,
This would put them in that bracket. So go out there and wreck during qualifying, you are done. You know what I mean?
which would suck.
We definitely, and then to dig deeper, like say something happens and they miss a race, they have to apply to NASCAR to get a waiver to keep competing for the championship. You think NASCAR is going to let that team have a waiver to
Yeah.
complete for their championship while they got an
Oh,
antitrust lawsuit going on?
yeah,
Absolutely not.
probably not.
you
Oh, you're
know.
suing us, and you want us to give you a waiver?
So let me give you a rundown of these drivers involved. Right. So in the Cup Series, we got Todd Gilliland, the 34, Noah Gregson, the 4, Chandler Smith, the 38. That's Front Row Racing's 3.
Right.
We've got Bubba Wallace in the 23. We've got Riley Herbst in 35. We've got Tyler Reddick in the 45. And then we dropped down to Xfinity and got Lane Riggs in the 34 and Zane Smith in the 38. So we've got a bunch of competent drivers who are definitely top 20, if not better, right?
Yeah.
We've got drivers that are going to be competing every week that might, due to some legal crap, is gonna put a hindrance in them potentially racing for the win. Um, or if something were to happen, like I said, in practice, qualifying, whatever, to where it could hinder them from even running, could be a severe situation. Um, then you got to look at it as so 2311 sought out and bought all these charters. We're looking at probably like I think the Athletic said $250 million loss if this were to go through.
Wow.
Like, that's big money, man.
Yeah.
Like, neither one of us put together will see a $250 million in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how they're falling under the same umbrella, right? But it's a really interesting time, which I believe a lot of this is stemmed from the whole selling merchandise is I think where the
Mm-hmm.
big bind comes from, right? Like we kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago, saying, like, yeah, NASCAR is a big brand. This is Michael frickin' Jordan,
Yeah.
the most known brand in the world, Jumpman Air. And I'm sure Jordan's wanting to sell 2311 racing gear some way, shape, or form. And NASCAR's like, no. And I think that's where the problem began, really. I think that's where this is all kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, logically that just makes sense, right? Like
Right.
Jordan has a huge brand. He wants to, he wants to blow up 2311 like his brand, right? He wants to push it out there. NASCAR has a lot more stringent rules about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I kind of see both sides of it. I think it's stupid either way. They need to come together, figure this out so that we don't lose more competitive drivers in NASCAR. At the end of the day,
Definitely.
that's, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, something's got to give, and these guys got to be allowed to stay in. Because what's going to happen is these guys are not going to be racing for 2311. They're going to be racing for legacy, or they're going to be racing for one of these other smaller teams, right? That isn't in a feud with NASCAR if things go south.
Right.
Because these guys aren't going to be qualifying to get in every week under, not having a charter.
Right.
They're going to want to be
And
on a team that has a charter.
definitely. And it's almost crazy to me to think that NASCAR don't see that NASCAR is better with the Air Jordan brand than without. Like,
Yeah, I mean, who knows how deep this goes and what exactly they're looking at, but
definitely.
yeah, on that, I totally agree. I'm guessing what they got to kind of tread lightly, though, to lay the groundwork for potential problems in the future with other teams, right? Like
Yeah, that makes
you
sense.
don't want another multi-billionaire from an industry that you don't really like coming in here and saying, "Oh, but I can pump my team name all over this website that has a bunch of terrible things on it or something," right? Like,
Right.
it's probably not so much that they're worried about Michael Jordan doing anything with the name, but who knows what precedents that sets for future teams, right?
Definitely.
So it is hard.
Definitely.
I mean, we're gonna have the 22 Pornhub car running around the track in no time if we have that.
I know a guy that would bet on that.
Oh shit! Got to draw the line somewhere,
Somewhere, right? We should draw the line on the 22 anyway. I mean,
Yeah, guys. Yeah, he's
such is
reckless.
life.
He's reckless.
Reckless.
So the last thing we had is the new mid-season challenge coming up. We're starting seeding for this week, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gathered. Um, I've only read up on this a little bit, but I think it's the top 32 drivers in standings are qualified for this. So that leaves out a couple of guys like Noah Gregson, SVG. I think it's Noah Gregson. I know SVG was one of them. Justin Haley, a couple of guys at the very tail end of points.
Yeah.
And basically, so the real race for the challenge starts at Atlanta. But for over the next couple of weeks, they're going to be taking these, I think, and basically seeding drivers, like pitting them against each other throughout the course of 3 to 5 races. And what they're going to do is they're going to take your finishes from a couple of races and line them up. So if you finish first, second, and third, and the guy you're compared against finishes 30th, 24th, and first, you're gonna win in comparisons, right?
Gotcha. So it'll be over a
And
few.
yeah, so they're gonna have it over 3 to 5. I think it's 5 races, but the winner gets $1 million. They're doing it kind of dash for cash style, like Xfinity, which should add some added excitement because
Yeah,
who
that
doesn't
doesn't
want $1
suck.
million?
That
You
doesn't
know?
suck. I like it. And it's
Yeah,
always fun too to add those other storylines into the race too, because let's be honest, sometimes you get into the middle of these races or the end of these races, and really the best battles are in 8th to 10th spot or something, right? And these guys are battling back and forth. Well, if that has some implications for this challenge, that could be a hell of a lot more fun to watch, right?
definitely.
While William Byron's leading 280 laps in the middle of a race or something, right?
This is where Hocevar hits the wall.
Yeah. Oh God, when it means $1 million and here comes Stenhouse.
Yeah, going straight up NASCAR heat race 2004 and turning around.
It's like,
You know.
remember Nashville, bitch? Boom.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
But
Well, yeah,
I
that'll
think
be
it'll
fun to
be
watch.
definitely exciting.
All right, let's get into some standings. I think that's all we got for the pit pass this week. Not a ton of changes. Well, I guess there's quite a few changes. Nothing drastic, though. Kyle Busch moving way on up. Got
Where's he at currently?
15th.
No.
So he's up 4 to the 15th spot. You got basically Elliott, Reddick, Chastain, and Bowman all dropping a spot or two, and Joey, Bubba, and Denny, Cindric all moving up a couple spots. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, more of the same, really.
Yep. I think I think the ones I'm looking at, we got Elliott, Reddick, Bubba, Briscoe, Bowman. Those are guys in like the top 12-ish that don't have a win yet. But I could see, I think Bowman's going to point in no matter what.
Yeah,
He's just
I would think
consistent.
so too.
I don't know if he gets a win, but I think either way he's in. Just
See,
because,
I think he's gonna win before Chase does.
really,
It seems like that happens. Like Bowman's gonna be that guy that comes out of nowhere at like plus 2,500 odds and win a race that we weren't even thinking he had a chance in.
yeah, it's you never know. Like we were talking about earlier, all these guys, professionals, all these guys have great crews. Oh, speaking of which, gosh, I wish I remembered his name. I just saw a clip this week of Chastain apparently has a new Jackman on the crew.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, they were running like 7-second pit stops. I don't know.
was he just picking the car up?
He's a former NFL linebacker, and he's just freaking just quick with
Perfect.
it. Yeah, great form. Love to see it. You love to see it. I love the hype videos. See these guys just sprinting around the car. Perfect pit stop. It had to have been. I'm not even shitting you. It had to have been in the 7s, maybe 8 seconds total, and they did a 4-tire swap.
That's easy to do at the garage.
Yeah, I get it, but it still looks clean.
Yeah, that's that. You got that to look forward to. So we'll see. But that's where the races are won right there is in the pit. So
It is, man.
any edge you can get, that's where you need to get it.
Yep. Well, anything you got for this week? Or are you just ready to go? Are you just ready for the super speedway?
I'm ready for the super speedway. Where are we at next week?
You got me, dude.
Oh, we're in Mexico next week.
Oh, that's
folks.
right. Yes, that's right.
Viva la
road
Mexico.
course.
Road course in it. So we got that to look forward to. Since it's got to be. This is our first June podcast. So for all you dudes out there, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Take care of yourselves. It is the month to do you. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. No one else is gonna.
So book a NASCAR trip.
Book a NASCAR trip. Go watch some racing and live that life.
Hell yeah.
As always, keep the rubber sides up.
Keep the rubber sides up. Danny's out.